So, my name is Julie Upton. Welcome to Legacy of Light. Today, we are in the presence of Stephanie Claus. She is a multi-dimensional, energetic activator of the new earth. She helps people get in touch with their true essence by remembering. She started the Temple of Remembrance with her self-initiation. She's a guide, and her platform, Star Tribe, where you can come and be a part of and be in the presence of like-minded people who are here to truly remember who they are and work from their core blueprint, original essence to continue to create the new earth, new paradigm, energetic space that humanity is moving into currently. So, Stephanie, welcome.
Yeah,
How
thank you.
are you?
Excited to be here, and I love that introduction. Like, especially when she mentioned Star Tribe, it was like that zing. I was like, yes, I love it. Oh yeah, I'm a part of it. Oh, I created it. I love it.
Oh, so why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your background and your story and how you got your start in life and how Star Tribe and the rest of your remembrance came about, organically in your life.
Hmm. It's a good question. How much time do we have for this? My story in a summary. Let me see. So I would say that if I look back at my life journey, you can definitely see that I've been a spiritual seeker, meaning that throughout my whole life, I've been not so much caring about success or like mainstream traditional life of like get a job and then get rich. No, already when I was a child, I was more pondering upon life and death and what this whole thing was about. And so I wanted to really know who am I and why am I here? And really from early on, that has always been a question. Yet it came with what I call the good girl syndrome. So that means that I was trying to be a good person, a good girl. And so for most of my life until later on in my 20s, all I was doing was trying to be good and live up to expectations of other people. Trying to be normal, trying to fit in, even though that I knew myself to be more than just a human. I knew I was a soul on a journey, yet it seemed in order to do this whole human thing, I needed to, do life like everyone else was doing it. And I was just hiding. I was hiding my truth. I was hiding who I know I was and just playing human, like just trying to be this good girl. And as life brings challenges, of course, and as life continues, there just came a moment where I could clearly see that I had been hiding. And it just felt so painful when I realized it. It was like, I cannot do this anymore. Like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And that created the desire at that point to be more free, to be truly who I was and to express that. Which then catapulted me into another whole level of spiritual seeking and following so many teachers and courses and mentors and the whole shebang, which is always really great because, of course, I do believe we can use other people as teachers and guides. Yet my next thing after the good girl syndrome became what I call the trap of the spiritual seeker, meaning when we seek so much, we often give our power away and we start to really believe that these other teachers and mentors have it all. They have all the knowing, all the knowledge. And I started doubting my own inner knowing, my own inner guidance. So I would say that these are two main things in my life's theme, which then brought me back to the moment where I said, I'm so done with all of it. I'm so done with the seeking and with this whole self-doubt that I accumulated in my life. What is the truth? What is the truth of who I am? I know who I am, so why am I not anchored in that? Why is that not my continuous experience? And why am I still not fully expressing that? So that's the quest of my life and what I'm so passionate about to activate in others as well.
Beautiful. One thing I think people would benefit from hearing, and when I read it in your notes, was your chronic fatigue syndrome. I was curious about that. How old were you when that came about?
Mm-hmm.
And then how long did you have that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say it started not as chronic fatigue, but as another thing. I don't know. I think it's Epstein-Barr. What is that thing? Yeah.
Epstein-Barr, yeah.
Yeah. So that was when I was about 16.
Oh my gosh.
So the time when everyone is about to go out and go party and go dance was a time that my body kind of shut down, and I just couldn't do any of the fun things because I had to go home and sleep all the time. So even going to school was already really hard at the last years of high school. But that was like in waves, and it was kind of okay, and just tiredness became almost normal in my life. But then at university, my early 20s was actually when I ended up in hospital because I wasn't able to do anything, even not eat or drink, because I was just like a plant in my bed basically. So yeah, that started a whole year of research because it takes a very long time before they put the diagnosis on you. And so I was being tested for chronic fatigue syndrome. Now, yeah, so if I just tune into that period of my life, my early 20s, which was supposed to be the best time of my life, that was what people were saying about it. Like, this is the time of your life because you're free and you can do anything you want and you're not working yet. And I was like, again, my days existed out of sleeping, resting, and almost not doing anything for a really long time. So I was like, this cannot be true. And I did not want to accept the chronic part of this label. I just couldn't. I just felt like I had to allow a little spark of hope to stay within me. That's the best way to describe it. So I always continue to have what I call hope and faith that this could not be my life, that this could not be forever, and that this too must pass somehow, even though at the time there was no proof, like my body couldn't do anything. Doctors would say, no, this is gonna be like this and you will not be able to have children because your body will not be able to cope with it. And it was devastating, but I didn't want to believe, like my being, somehow my inner being did not want to accept it, which I believe has been my lifeline comparing to other beings who, I'll call it, believe a diagnosis they get, and then it becomes your box, it becomes your reality. And so you kind of have to stay in there because that's what you make your normal. And I've always trying to break out of the boxes and trying to escape out of what seems normal, let's say. So the life I'm living today, everything I do, everything I am, the amount of energy I have is impossible to the person I was back then.
Wow.
And which is why I personally see anything like burnout, depression, chronic fatigue, I do see it all as catalysts on our soul journey. And it's not always easy, it can take a long time, but I do believe that it is there for a very specific reason. And there's so much gold and wisdom to be excavated in those experiences. But it's always easier to look back than when we're in it. It can seem really dark and gray and all of that.
I'm so happy for you to have moved through that and to know you now. Oh my gosh, it's like hard to believe, right?
It is. It is. I do feel like a different person. Like I'm not that same young woman. Like that. I really feel like when people talk about shifting timelines or shifting realities, that's my only explanation of my life. How it has changed is to literally shift realities at different times and different stages. Yeah. Which that is what it means to be a multidimensional being, as one of the things I think is just to be able to do that, to completely shift from one reality paradigm into another one.
Well, let's talk about multidimensional realities. Why don't we? What was your first experience into, so I know you had a lot of time working, like you just said, with spiritual teachers and guides and mentors. Um, when was it that you were able to move from that space of being with them to being so full of confidence in what you're doing now
Mhm.
on the multidimensional and all levels?
Mhm. Yeah, so I would say this is a very recent shift, but this is also why I'm excited and why I created the Temple of Remembrance. So let's say if my seeking journey has been really long, you could almost say almost a decade. And I know many other people, it's multiple decades. So no, it's not that unusual. Can be very long. We kind of start to like it if we get some safety in it. So the shift into what, let's call it full confidence, full knowing, full remembrance has in a way been very recent through my work with Hema, through the incubator, the school we both were a part of. And I do find it important to mention this because with a being like Hema, I would almost say she doesn't allow herself to be that teacher for a being. So it has just been impossible for me to put that same thing what I did with other people with her. So she truly is that guide that evokes remembrance and full anchoring and remembering your blueprint and your essence within the beings that she works with. And at the same time, I feel that it is a threshold we have to cross ourselves, which is what the Temple Remembrance is about as well, that we can have mentors, guides, teachers, coaches who like point us, like it's like direction of your true self, of your truth, of your knowing. It's like that direction, you go that way instead of right, you go left, right? Not matrix, but that's the way. So they point us, or we try all practices, but at the end there comes a point where when you've done all the practices and okay, you've cleared already a lot of shit and you've done a lot of healing work, then there comes a point which I call the final threshold that only you can cross. It's like a game just with yourself. It's a remembrance between you and you that no one else can do for you. No one else can tell you how. No one else can show you that specific thing because it's you have to just do it. And it's not even doing, but it's just something that you have to say yes to. And again, for me, it came just with being so done with the seeking and with the roller coaster, which I think a lot of people can recognize too. Like, now I feel aligned, now I feel happy. Oh, now the law of attraction seems to work today. And then a few days later, it doesn't seem to work, and you're fucking triggered or like you're upset. And again, there's another layer of healing and just this continuous up and down. And some people still like to believe that, oh, but that's just the journey. And I came to a point where I was like, I don't think that this is meant to be the journey. I actually see in the future vision, like in what I see as our future, there's none of this shit. There's none of that shit. So why am I still playing this? Why am I still doing this? And I believe that being done with something is a catalyst for change. So that was my point where I'm like, I'm so done with it. So yes, let's cross this threshold. And at the same time, then it's never done. Like since the moment though where I came into what I would call more of the remembrance, there's continuous expansion. So there's still, like I just said, there's still waves and there's still not a roller coaster. There's still continuous expansion, which feels like new thresholds. But it's very different. It doesn't come with that much fear or doubt. It's just you just fucking know who you are. So just like I'm doing this. I'm doing this. Whatever next level, I'm just there.
Amazing. Ah, feels good just listening to you. I can feel the energy of that. Like, it's done. I'm in it. Yeah, that expansion. I think that's what we were talking about when we first jumped on this call, is when we're checking in with each other. It's like, yeah, things are always going to have, you know, uh, a shift. there's always going to be a shift, but it's like how you see it now. Like for me, I see it, oh, it's expansion. Okay, hold on, and just be aware as opposed to reacting to it.
Mm.
And my old programming of like, oh no, here it is again. Like, what did I do? What did I
What did I
not
do
learn?
wrong?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
like
what did I do wrong? Or
that was,
what
yeah.
lesson is here for me now? It's like, oh
Mhm.
no, 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 no. This is just what it feels like to expand.
Mm.
It's just a feeling. So like for me, the only word I can come up with it was like a heaviness. Like
Mm.
I had to sleep more and I had
Mm.
to just be gentle with myself.
Mhm.
But as soon as I started to catch myself going to the negative self-talk, I was like, whoa, whoa, mm-mm,
Mm-mm.
mm-mm. I was like, uh-uh.
Not anymore.
No.
Mm.
That's what I was sick of.
Mm.
I hear everything you're saying and I identify with it.
Mm.
So I would love to talk to you now about what is your vision? You touched on that about how you see the future. I would love for people to hear what you experience as a
Mhm.
future vision.
Mm. Mhm. Yeah, so I'm a very energetic being, so I don't know how practical it is, but I know those meant to understand it will do. So, so I call the vision I call it my lighthouse vision. I've had this lighthouse vision for a few years, and I mean, it started with the essence of it, but it's continues to expand. But basically, I've had this vision of a building. Let's start there. A building that represents a lighthouse to me within this world. And what I say about the lighthouse is that, you know, the lighthouse stands tall and strong and is unwavering, unshakable. It doesn't go out to rescue anyone at sea. It just stands there, shining its light even in the darkest of nights, so that the boats still can find their way home and find their direction.
Mm-hmm.
So this building to me is an anchor. This building to me has, or is holding, such a high frequency. So it's the embodiment of the highest frequency we will be able to tune into and tap into and really bring it all the way into the most physical, dense form of a building. So that when people enter this space, it is literally as if they're in a vibrating chamber, or they can just feel the upliftment and the shedding of any layers that are still there. It just has to dissolve within this space of truth and of purity. And more, in a more bigger picture, I see a lighthouse as a beacon of light indeed in the world. And therefore, there is not one lighthouse. I see myself as a space holder of a lighthouse, but I know that there's a network of lighthouses, light centers that will be around the world. What I saw as this vision evolved, what I saw is that these light centers will be for me, the center points of communities, of, we could say, New Earth communities. So this is where the New Earth template will come into form. These will be the first spaces, communities that will be able to anchor in the new, that will be able to live the blueprint, both as an individual, both as a collective, and then both as the all of creation together, the earth with the people with, or multidimensional, whatever it all is, just the all of it coming into form, experienced and lived and anchored through our form. So that's a main part of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a second piece though that I do feel I need to speak to, which is what I call a collective template, which is in relationship to the lighthouse. But I believe, if I look at the future, that we truly are making a shift from individual to collective. So as in our check-in you were sharing, right, of like, oh, the way we are living right now, it's so separate or individual. And many people have this desire and longing for community, for tribe. Like, it's really something that has been arising more and more, I would say, in the last years. But the seeing I have is, it's hard to describe in words still, Yet it is operating as a collective. And words are already being used like operating as a soul cluster or a hive mind or like just a group unit. So for me, it's a coming together of a specific group of souls, which I feel are my soul tribe or my soul family, star family, whatever. And as they come together, anchored in their own blueprint, so it's not that we're going to merge and give ourselves away. No, it's fully anchored, each in their own blueprint. But as they come together, it unlocks something much bigger.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 1 and 1 is not 2, but 1 plus 1 is 11. So in this collective amplified field taps into a potential that we cannot even grasp yet. Yeah, I do know it will allow us to tap into way more abilities like telepathy and maybe levitation. That's at least what I dream about. And like all these abilities though that I do believe some people already master, but it will become more common and just part of this more collective way of being and living and co-creating in harmony, in purity, in resonance. It's like so amazing and so intelligent. So I'm super excited about that. I remember, I'll finish with this before I'll let you respond. Like, I remember telling, I think it was last year, of like, I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna end this lifetime is not going to end before I have lived, experienced, and embodied this, meaning being a part of it. I know that what this life for me is about, to experience and anchor in. So there's no way that my life would end before that. So I'm super excited about it. I mean, my life is super exciting because I know the new earth is going to be lived and experienced for those who continue to live for at least a few more years though. But it doesn't have to take thousands or 100 years in what I believe. So
Sounds amazing. I'll be there.
you will.
I will totally be there. I see my future. I'm like going to all these places that um that people are building, whether it's your lighthouses or, Hema's schools or uh, yeah, all of it. That's
Mm-hmm.
me. I go, I feel into it, I radiate, and then I move on.
Mm-hmm.
I've always seen myself doing that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I am so like fluid in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just love it. And so I want to do everything I can do in my power to get these spaces like up and running and like manifested.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally, in a way, it's selfish in the best way possible.
Service to all. It's not service to self. It's I got this from
It
him.
is.
It
It's
is
like
service to
service to
all.
everybody.
It
But
is.
like, I can't wait till I'm just like moving around going, I can see that where I'm like, yeah, it's like so amazing. I feel like in a way, these interviews are a little bit like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's like part of it,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like the internet is also like this,
Yes.
this, space and time dimension. Like here we are, I'm looking at us and we're like right next to each other. And I'm looking at you and I'm feeling you as close
Mm-hmm.
as, I
As
mean,
if you would be
you're
right
in
here.
the room.
Exactly. Totally.
So what? It's like one little speck of shift and we can like be in the room. It's like one of
Mm-hmm.
those abilities that,
Mm-hmm.
and having lived so many lifetimes, timelines, everything, with access to these abilities, uh, it's like in my field. Like I know it's here already. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, now we're gonna see it in like the third dimension, which is like amazing. That's amazing, actually, if I think about that one for a second. Whoa. I'm always I'm always questioning this dense dimension. I'm like, but the
Mm-hmm.
expanding part, once I shifted into the expansion instead of
Mm-hmm.
the dense learning,
Mm-hmm.
experiencing, seeking, it was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. And so it's possible. I mean, I see it. I feel it. It's here already.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, amazing.
As we were talking, what the way I see that, how you describe what you want to do, you can tell me if you resonate with it, but I call it the weavers of the web. So there are beings that will go from all these light centers or all these new creations from place to place. But to me, you'll be, or you are those beings that resonate with that, are like the weavers of the web for me. Because you go to a place and it's like you will go and you will like upload or download your being with the knowledge or the wisdom or the abilities of the place, and then you'll travel to the next one. So it's like you will carry the codes from one place to another. It's like the bees, like how they, what's the word, I don't know it in English, but they go
Uh,
from flower to flower and they bring
They
so it's
pollinate.
like, yeah, exactly,
And then
exactly. So it's that principle to me which allows the whole collective therefore to upgrade or like learn and accelerate together, as well as weaving the web. As I said, it's a light grid between all these places. So we need these beings that are travelers and weavers. That's
so
how I see it.
and that is happening in real time here, like between us. Because I was always like, wait a minute, that's how I see myself. And I'm like, and I do it already to some extent. I go into just by the nature of what I've been doing for this in this lifetime. So many. And so many. So that I get that. Yeah. A downloader and an uploader. And it's what you said. It's like when we're in community, like actually in person with each other, there are things that happen.
Yep.
And that's exciting, you know, and it always has excited me. It's always been happening. So, yeah, it's just fun because now it's happening at such a mass scale. Before it was so small. Just tuning into that is like, wow, it's actually happening. I really, it's on like now. So yeah, I am. I'm a web weaver, a stitcher. And yoga, the scripture, one of the main, they're called sutras. And the word sutra in Sanskrit, it actually comes, it's in English, it's suture. So it's literally weaving the web. It's the same kind of principle. And it's the vibration of Sanskrit is like super powerful. Just one word has a vibration. It's very action oriented. That's why other languages are a little more dense because the words are, oh, I don't even know. It's like they're a thing that doesn't have change within it. Like the Sanskrit word for pen would be something that was like the word would mean long, no, oh God, expression, expressions of infinite creativity. You know, it's like, oh, it's just a pen. It's like, no, but what can this pen do? It's like, you don't even know. That's what this reminds me of. So like people will show up in their time and like, I didn't know what I could do. And then tap into that essence of the truth of being human.
I would say to me that is a beautiful metaphor to how I see purpose, or someone's, what I use the word a lot, soul's purpose. And I see that people that are looking for it still, they're like looking for a pen. Okay, I have my phone. They're like looking for their purpose, and they're looking for a phone. Like they want to know what their purpose is. And your purpose is exactly that fluid thing. Like it would be a description, like it's so fluid. It can show up in any dense form. It is more, to me, a multidimensional, invisible, energetic, living organism. It's not an organism, but it's a living, breathing thing that can come and express itself in so many forms. And people are so focused on the form, while it's the same. The remembering happens on that fluid level. And then you realize that when you know your purpose, you're still free. Because some people think, when I know my purpose, I'll have to do it, and I will have to look one thing. No, it's fluid and free. Yeah, it's so true that it's so exciting to know it and to remember it. Yet the expression of it is infinite expressions in delight.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Um, mm. So tell us about the Temple of Remembrance. That's what it seems like you're in service to in the present moment of your fluidity.
Exactly. That is one expression and form that's coming through me. Exactly. Yeah, so the Temple of Remembrance is, to me, first and foremost, a multidimensional space. So it is an energetic, living being that has its own intention, intelligence, and wisdom, which is geared towards helping people to fully remember, anchor into all that they are here, so they can be, do, and create what they came here for in this lifetime. So to me, I feel like I have a relationship with that invisible being. And so I'm downloading how it wants to look and what it wants to do. So more practically, the Temple of Remembrance is a 12-week journey, which I see as a self-initiation. So even though, yes, I am the guide, and I am, you could also even say mentor, coach. I don't care that much about the names. Like, I am the guide of the process, but I'm not there to tell anyone what their purpose is and how to do life. I'm there to hold space for the truth to be revealed, for a being to come into their full remembrance, which always does start with clearing out the shit, the bullshit you told yourself, the expectations of others, the roles you've taken on, right? We often have taken on this identity or a persona, even if it's spiritual looking, and to shed all those layers so that the essence can be revealed. And then, for me, it's not enough to remember and to know yourself, because I do think a lot of people kind of know who they are, and that's really nice, because then you can sit on a mountain and be blissed out. Yeah, I do believe we're here to fully express it and embody it and bring it into everything we do, say, create, how we move. And that's where a lot of people meet fears and go into hiding. And like I did, like I was a spiritual being, but I look like just a good girl, normal person. And so I love to see more people fully step into their mastery, into their own multidimensionality, into their leadership, however you want to call it, and truly bring forth all that they are. Because as we talk about New Earth, or the shift that we're talking about, I'm seeing a whole shift, right? Like education is going to be different, like architecture, every area of life is going to be different. So we are right now still in need. It's a big word, but everyone's already in place. Everyone is here already with the codes, with the knowing, with the templates of how things are going to look like. So, but we need to stop hiding. We need to stop thinking that we don't know, or we're not good enough, of whatever, all those bullshit. Like, we all carry such a well of wisdom and of abilities that are untapped. And I'm super excited to activate that within people and wash away the self-doubt so we can come into that confidence, but from our purity. It's not like people are afraid. The people I work with are often afraid to then be into their ego or something, or to be self-absorbed. But your heart is pure. Your heart is so pure that we can be confident and allow ourselves to believe in ourselves, because we came here with pure intent. And yeah, I'm not sure if I answered the question. I started talking maybe around it, but that is what the Temple of Remembrance is for and about, I would say.
Well, it sounds amazing. It's like, I'm like, yes. Like, who in their right mind wouldn't want what you just talked about, to be in touch with their true essence, the essence of the being that they came here in this body to be. And I think, like, right now, this whole experience that the whole world is going through with this COVID-19 is just the tip of the iceberg. This is the beginning of the end of the old, and the huge crack in the veil to allow the breath, the air, the visions to come through. I think it's pretty obvious that we were living in a self-destructing manner, and that if we want to expand and grow and thrive as human beings, then we need to, like, step back and take a look. And it looks like we got all this assistance, from the universe, our higher selves, the collective, whether they were fully conscious of it or not. I feel we're calling this forward, because how else? I always wondered, like, how else is it gonna, like, how is this gonna happen? And some days I just sit back and I'm like, oh, the whole world right now is on lockdown. Like, and for me, it's not a lockdown, it's a turn in. It's so powerful. I think what would be really fun to talk about is that piece about your special abilities and how you
My special abilities.
Yes, my dear. I wrote them in my Stephanie notes, and you just talked about them. I just want to. Oh, yeah. I wanted to use your words so that my when I use my own words, people are like.
I'm curious now, though, about your words.
I'm inventing a whole new persona for you.
That's cool, though. I like it.
Well, it's authentic. It's like
exactly. I'm like, well, yeah, sure. You can use those too. I'd love to hear them.
Oh yeah. Oh, I just thought this was so. You said so when I was reading about. Oh, I was reading in the Temple of Remembrance, or on your website. I was reading on your website that you help people unlock their dormant potential and translate your intuitive knowing, abilities, and visions into practical steps. So is that kind of what you're doing through the Temple of Remembrance? It's a 12-week course? Yeah. So is that what you're doing in the Temple of Remembrance 12-week course?
Yes, and so much more. But that's definitely part. I mean, there's no other way than that I can do it. I mean, it's like naturally. I'm like, if I need to explain these abilities, it's just what naturally happens. I feel. Do you have a question? You can.
Yeah. So when people come and sign up for the course and go through the modules, by your energetic field, is this what helps them to unlock this hidden potential?
So within these 12 weeks, I've created a journey, a process, let's say, which has 4 stages to it. So the first I already mentioned is like the releasing and the clearing. So it's the shedding of the layers, you could say, of the peeling away of the layers of the onion. Then the second part is more the activation part. It is the remembering, it's tapping into your blueprint. So that's more where the activation truly starts to begin. Then the third part is more about the embodiment and the expression, where I definitely also activate dormant potential more in the way of like how people express themselves, because often people have learned to, for example, behave like good boy, good girl, like this is what's allowed, this is what I'm allowed to be, this is how I'm allowed to behave. And yet there's a whole other range of expression. Like the way I talk right now, I was always very shy, introvert, timid. So now I can still be that, but I think people also now know me as loud and expressive and like this and like everywhere and whatever. So, but that comes through allowing myself to expand. Anyway, back to your question. There's just something that happens when I'm in someone's field, is that I start to see or tune in what I call their future potential. So when it just comes through visions, clues I get, when I hear their stories, I just start to see, oof, here they're limiting themselves. I feel like they're hiding something. And I just have this, what I call this radar or this detector that goes ping, 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 ping. And then it's just through challenges, through calling out people, through questioning, through laughing, like whatever happens through me in the moment, that I always poke the bear a little, let's say, and I invite people to look into that, of like, what is there? What's hidden? What wants to be expressed? What's the desire? Who are you truly beyond all the fear or the doubt? Like, what's there? And it's something that's super joyful for me. I do it naturally in my life as well. So it just happens throughout the whole journey. It also depends where people are at, right? It can be week 1, week 12, it doesn't matter that much. Each person will have their own journey within the 12 weeks as well. But it's definitely one of the main focuses.
Nice. And talk about your Star Tribe. So can anybody join the Star Tribe platform? Is that open to the public, or is it a private group, or what's happening with that?
Well, that might still change. Right now it's a private group, but technically anyone can join. But here's the thing: do I want anyone to join? No, I don't want to join. I don't want anyone to join. Who I want to join this group is those beings that often they call themselves multidimensional beings, light workers, star seeds, spiritual being. Like, it's often that category of people. But basically it's anyone who resonates with everything I'm talking about, which means you are here on this planet and you feel like you're here for a reason. You feel like you're here to be part of a shift. You look at what's happening and you're like, damn, shit seems to be going down. At the same time, there's this hope. There's a knowing that this is good. Like, there's a shift happening and I'm here to be a part of that, whether a person already knows what that is and how that looks like or not. And it just had this desire to bring us together, basically, because often many of us have felt alone or very different on our journey. So I also often call us the misfits or the wanderers, the silent voices. We have kept all of this knowing, this truth, these abilities to ourselves. We've been afraid to be crazy. We've been afraid to be rejected. And so just to have a space where we can come together and share these, because the whole multidimensional stuff still to me sometimes is a bit like, seems a little bit crazy because it's invisible and it's very multidimensional and otherworldly and all of that. So to have a space where we can come together and share is so important, especially because I believe that we are all truly pieces of the puzzle. And so it is within our exchange that we exchange codes, abilities. There's so much transmission that happens beyond our words that I believe is so needed in the times that we are in, because we are in a collective shift. So it's not just one person, right? We are in a collective movement, and therefore we don't have to do it alone. And there is knowledge, there's exchange, there's transmissions that want to happen on that more collective level. And that's what Star Tribe is for. And right now it's starting very small. Of course, we're just getting started. So right now the focus is on these weekly Star Tribe gatherings on Friday evening. And I'm just allowing that space for it to naturally unfold and for people to come in. But it's very exciting to just see it started, and just the power of beautiful beings coming together and the exchange that's happening. As well as just, again, is it by beings being in my field, I always invite people to look at where's the next invitation for you? Like, how can you be more of yourself? How can you start to step up more in your mastery? How can you stop hiding? Like, I can feel there's something there. So I do that also on these calls when I feel it. So I'm just devoted to that. Like, I can't not do it anymore.
Awesome.
Don't be my field if you don't want to be questioned if I feel something.
That's actually come up a lot for me recently. Somebody asked a question the other day, and I said, well, it's like how when I used to snowboard a lot, and I just go out with people. It was unintentional at first. It's just that I was not very good, when I was a beginner. And so everybody was better than I was. And then I realized I just gravitated to people that were pushing me to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was kind of hard sometimes. I fell a lot. I struggled, but it was so exciting. And I loved it. So I gave that advice to somebody the other day. I was like, just push yourself by being around people who are holding themselves accountable or who have the same vision, because that's how we work. We push each other. It doesn't even have to be in words. It's just energetically. And that's how I feel like it's like the path gets wider so that the expansion can happen definitely sweeter and in a space that feels like it's supporting that. I mean, that's what I really love about our group, the cohort groups. And I definitely grow on a weekly basis from those meetings, as I am here just talking with you during this interview and conversation. So I'm excited. So I just joined when I was looking at
Yes, I saw that.
I was so excited. I'm like, yeah, that's right up my alley.
Nice.
Oh God. And how old are you?
Almost 33.
Oh, the Jesus age.
I know. And it's like, I know it is my Jesus age. It's also the age that my dad died. So it feels like, it just feels like such an important age. And I've known it for a few years, but now that it's coming in a month, I'm like, this is the age.
Wow.
It's a big year for me. I know it. So, and I've always loved Jesus. Like not like in a religious way, but like he's been like a being of light. I've always seen him as a being of light. So very excited about the powerful 33.
Oof, I feel that for you. When's your birthday?
In about a month, June 29th. So coming up soon.
It's now June, so it's this month. Ah, that's exciting. Wow, this is a big year. What you said about the people that are attracted to, the star seeds, the way showers. When I was coming into this, it was like I was shouting from the rooftops, like, cancer? There are cures for cancer. Are you kidding me? Who's still getting cancer? And people were like, you're crazy. Like, now it's okay to shout it off the rooftops. They're not going to like put you in a straitjacket and haul you off to, the sanitarium or whatever. It's such a wonderful place to be. I appreciate it so much. So much. So thank you for being a leader and giving a space for all of us to meet and to expand with each other and to grow and magnetize and attract and wake up more of the collective, because that's what we are. We're just a part of something so much bigger, the divine intelligence of what we are. I think that's the most beautiful. It's the core of what we are, in my experience. It's like this divine intelligence. And that's what I want to shout off the rooftops now. It's like, oh my God, it's the same thing.
Yes, absolutely.
You can self-heal and so much more.
Yes. Shout it, Julie, shout it out. Well, here's
I
the thing.
am.
I do feel that the times have changed. Even if I look when I was a child growing up, spirituality in my country was so taboo and like
Mm,
so, oh, crazy person, whatever. So, and what I see in the people I work with or that are in Star Tribe is so many of us carry these fears, and not everyone. Some people are more radical, able to express themselves, but so many beings that are hiding have these fears that are still so deeply rooted, often also from past lifetimes, from the times the witches were burned or the priestesses and all of that were like shut down and all of that. And part of my message is truly to tell to people that the times have truly changed. Maybe not 5 years ago, maybe not 10 years ago, but we are at the point right now where it is safe to express ourselves. And mostly, I believe as well, is because we're not alone. It's not that I'm the only crazy witch in town. We are with so many beings, star seeds, way showers, light beings, whatever. We are here as a collective. We came down as a collective at this point in time, and we are meant to all, therefore, as well, express, share, shout it at the rooftops, or not shout it at the rooftops. It doesn't matter the way it's done, but for those that actually have that desire to share and express themselves, now is the time.
it is. It's right now. It really doesn't matter your age. It's just, because that was me. I shut down. I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to hear it. I gotta go. Like I took off, and like that's why I was wandering around the earth, just meeting
Mm.
people and a lot of multi-dimensional people and walking through portals and meeting the tribe, but all staying quite quiet in a
Mm-hmm.
way.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I have so much. It's such a powerful thing when you to let it go. I mean, for me, I'm like, it's almost like it's in my bones, and
Mm-hmm.
so I have to really like it's a
Mm-hmm.
and every day that's the practice. It's breathing, connecting, remembering. That word is very powerful.
Absolutely.
Remembering and allowing, and then expanding into all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's more important. And now, I mean, it's happening. I see it, I feel it. I just think it's an incredible thing to witness.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely. It is. It's another part of my story, right? Like I think only 5 years ago I thought I was alone. I still thought I was alone in this world, and I felt so different. And now a few years later, like you're literally everywhere. Like you're literally everywhere. I see you, I know you. And it's like so amazing. It's so amazing. It's my too good to be true coming true. I'm so like, I know social media can be such a drain and a pain in the ass and whatever it all is, but I'm so grateful for the collective web that it is creating. And the times I felt alone, it is how I met the first starseeds or multidimensional beings or like just people that started talking about it. I was like, at least there's someone in the US. Okay, it's miles away, but at least there's someone talking about things I feel I know. And so for anyone who might be listening or who has that experience and still might feel alone, because it is how it often starts with people I've known and met, that they wake up in their environment, but it seems no one else yet is waking up. And so they feel different, crazy, and like, what's happening? And yet no one's alone in this. You're
no.
not alone. You think you're different, but and you are uniquely different. And on the other hand, you're not.
And it takes all of us to be in our own uniqueness to live this complete wholeness. We're all connected, and no two of us are the same. We're like snowflakes.
Mm-hmm.
We're uniquely ourselves and part of the whole. And it, like you said, the puzzle, we're all part of the same puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just a beautiful
Symphony.
symphony of art.
Yes. Mm.
Oh, Stephanie, thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing this interview with me and sharing with the world everything that you do and your uniqueness and
It's
all
been
the
so
work
much
that
fun.
you've done.
Mhm.
And like,
Mm.
it's just so inspiring. I am just so grateful.
Yeah, thank you so much too for being this weaver of the web, and I can already see and feel the future potential for you. I'm so excited how the part that you're playing in this whole symphony, and I've really enjoyed seeing you so lit up throughout this whole conversation, just creating your own legacy of light through doing this. So it's been really fun, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you. So I'll put all your contact information in the description below so that people can find you and reach out to you if
Yeah.
they want to ask you questions or join your Temple of Remembrance or Star Tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be available to everybody out there in the world. When you come across this video, you have access to all the information and how to find Stephanie and all that she is up to in her complete wholeness in all its fluid grace. I love it.
Oh, beautiful, Julie. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna